Okay, so as I demonstrated earlier in another video about these lock and cancel assemblies, I have the one vacuum gauge connected to the um, exhaust side of this valve, which is a replay valve, and I have another one connected to the exhaust side of the play valve. And when vacuum first comes on, we want the play valve to lock on so that the instrument stays in the play mode or goes back into the play mode. In other words, that the rewind bellow isn't activated. And you can see when I turn on the vacuum, you can see the gauge over here opens up. But I was also asked to demonstrate the theory of operation as to why these valves work the way that they do. And what I found out is that until I understood why this valve opens, this valve activates before this valve activates, even though the valves are identical and even though they're connected, cross-connected the way that they are, I really wasn't able to answer that question. So I started thinking about it and I said, well, there's more atmosphere comes into this valve via the hole in the top and the hole in the side than does this one, which the atmosphere only comes in through the hole in the top. So what I did to prove this to myself is I put a piece of tape. Now I'm not covering the hole 100%. I'm only covering the hole about 80%. In other words, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make the hole in the top of this valve slightly smaller than the hole in this valve. And if I've got it set right, you know, when you add the size of this hole and the size of what's remaining of this hole, I want it to be slightly smaller than the size of this hole, meaning less air can get in to this one than this one, whereas when this one is wide open, more air can get into this valve than into this valve as the vacuum level is coming up. And as you can see, now this valve turned on instead of this valve, okay? Which shows that the reason that this valve opens before this one is that there's more air rushing in to try to fill up the vacuum, of course, because as I said before, both valves are going to try to turn on because they're both getting vacuum, they're both interconnected to each other with the bleeds and whatnot like that. So both of the valves are going to come on, but this valve always comes on first, and so that's what locks it into the on position. Take this off, go again, but now this valve comes on first. Okay. So the reason that this valve comes on first, even though these valves are identical in virtually every aspect, the reason that this valve comes on first is because there's more air, even though it's not much, okay, but it is more, all right? There's more air can come in here to fill up the space where the vacuum is pulling through here, because the hole in the top, the combined holes, the combined size of this hole and the hole that's right here are larger than this hole. And if you, like I say, if you decrease the size of this hole to the point where it's actually smaller than this hole, then this valve will come on first.